When we step into motherhood, we expect to be stretched, but we also assume that in the areas where we're already strong, we'll be fine. We think, I've got this part handled, but what happens when even that part crumbles? In this episode, Dominika Knossalla-Pado shares an unexpected journey into motherhood. One that shook the very foundation she thought was rock solid. If you've ever felt blindsided by early motherhood or questioned everything you thought you knew, this one's for you. In this episode, we're talking to a mom who shares a raw and unexpected journey into motherhood. One that shook the very foundation of what she thought was already going to be rock solid. If you've ever felt blindsided by early motherhood or questioned everything you thought you knew or thought you were an expert in, this one's for you. My name is Chrissy Bold. I'm a stay-at-home mom to 2 little boys, and this is Mom's Guide to Finding Herself. When we enter motherhood, most of us think we know enough to get by. And if there's one area we feel confident in, like maybe a part of life we've spent years building expertise in, we think that part at least will go smoothly. For Dominika Knossalla-Pado, that was dogs. As a certified dog trainer and founder of the online platform Dog Meets Baby, where she supports families with dogs, she had the experience, the plan, and all the right prep in place. But when her twins were born, her world was rocked in ways she couldn't have predicted. Let's listen to the story. Dominika, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm really excited to hear about your journey to motherhood, your trip through, and then next week we're going to talk about your experience helping families and moms prepare their dogs for the journey. But first, today, let's talk about you. So tell me, who were you before you became a mom?
That's a great question. I was a wife, a dog trainer, a dog mom to my dog Lola, a traveler, many roles.
Amazing. Now, it sounds like you've always been a traveler then. Now, that must have slowed down after you had babies, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Now, you were married for a little while, then you had your babies. Now, you were pregnant with twins, right?
Yes,
tell me
they
about...
ran in my family.
Oh, okay. So you weren't too surprised when that happened. Now,
no, and that was always my dream. So I just knew.
You just knew it was your dream. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So when you found out, you were like, yes, this is awesome. Oh, so good. So tell me about your journey to motherhood.
Well, as I said, I always wanted to have twins. All the twin sets in my family are boy-girl twins. So yes.
Wow.
And I have a boy-girl set as well. And the pregnancy was, it's a twin pregnancy, so there were some complications. Again, something that I knew about. I hoped I would not have complications. I had them, so I had to be on modified bed rest for 2 months. And I was able to be up for 10 minutes every 2 hours. And it sounds awful, but honestly, it wasn't as bad as it sounds.
Okay.
And that was the last time I was able to focus on myself.
Yep.
And just sort of, it was stressful, of course, because the reason why I was on bed rest was not because, things were going great, quite the opposite. And I had to be hospitalized twice, but it was okay. It wasn't as bad as it sounds.
Sure. I can get behind that. Yeah. Like there's the stress and the worry, but there's also like a lot of TV, a lot of relaxing.
Yes. And I was in a group of parents of multiples. So I had a lot of support and from people who have gone through the same thing. And I think their approach, as some of them had little kids, and they just kept telling me, oh, enjoy it. I'm so jealous that you could be on bed rest. I was like, okay, well, maybe that's a different perspective, different way of looking at this. So it really helped me. And I was also able to ask them questions if I was worried about something. So that was super helpful.
Yeah, that makes a big difference when your social network has been through it and then they're open about it too, because a lot of times you'll have people and friends in your life that have been down that road, but they're like, no, it's fine. You'll be fine. And they don't, So to have people be honest
They
with you and
were,
open.
yes, they were very honest. I could share anything, and they shared as well.
That's so great. Now, you were a dog trainer as well at the time. Did you continue to train at while you were pregnant? I'm sure up until the bed rest, maybe.
Yes, I did. I
Hmm.
did. I was very active. I felt great until I didn't. And yeah, so I worked the whole time.
Yeah, I get that. And that's like what most people do. But dog training is so hands on and so interactive that I can imagine that that must have been even more exhausting than your typical pregnancy journey. Now, do you have family close by to help you out?
I don't.
Yeah.
No, I don't. But I once I had my children, I hired a mother's helper. So that was super helpful. And then when I went back to work, I had a part-time nanny.
Being able to ask for help is a skill in its own. Like being able to hire help
What?
and find people, like kudos to you for doing that. Now, let's talk about what happened right after those twins came. So it was all, up and down, but kind of nice while you were on bed rest. And then boom, they're here in the world. What was that like?
Yeah. I think I was so focused on making it to 35 weeks, or like, I mean, initially it was 32 weeks, and then 34 weeks, and 35 weeks,
Yeah.
36 weeks. And then I think once I got to 36 weeks, I was off the bed rest.
Yeah.
And and then they were born 37 and 2. I had preeclampsia, so I
Oh,
had to,
geez.
yes, so um, so it was a C-section because of that and
Yeah.
other things. And but I was so focused on making it to that safe day
Yeah.
of like um, having them in my belly as long as
Yeah.
possible, that I didn't really think much past what's next.
Yeah.
Now I think only in the very last week, when I was pregnant, I hired a postpartum doula who specialized in twins or multiples, and she that was a lifesaver,
Yeah.
because I really, like, I couldn't go to most classes. I booked classes, I paid for them, and then my husband had to go to like a class with a lactation consultant.
Oh, so
And
he went
because
for you.
yeah, he went, I was like, you have to go.
Yeah.
So I couldn't do it because I was
Right.
a modified bed rest. So I hired her, and that was so helpful, because she would come to our house and like show us, like, this is how
Yeah.
you bathe a child, this is how you hold twins, this is how the best way to feed
Yeah.
twins, this is what, like, what, especially with twins,
Yeah.
just like making sure that we like we were kind of lost, me and my husband.
Yeah.
So it was super helpful that we had her. She was not, it was not a night doula. She was coming for a few hours
Sure.
when we needed her, but that was amazing, because she really helped me, because I honestly did not prepare much
Yeah.
for what's next. And I did prepare my dog. So, she was prepared and
Yeah.
trained, so I focused on that part, but I was never really thinking past like giving birth. I
That
mean, a
is
little
so
bit, but
common.
not
Yeah.
much.
Exactly. It's so common. I hear that all the time, and about like we just got to get this baby out, and then the rest should come naturally, right? The rest
Yes.
should just be instinctual. But in
Yeah.
so many ways it's not. Now, you prepared, it sounds like a lot more in a lot of ways creatively. You tried to figure out how to send your husband, because I mean your kids are 9 now. So, when I had my babies, everything was virtual because there were no groups that were meeting. It was all in COVID. But we had figured out at least how to kind of make the virtual work. But 9 years ago, that wasn't a thing. You had to have
No. No,
somebody
no, it
go.
wasn't. It
No,
wasn't.
not at all. So that's wild. And doulas are an angel on earth. Like truly, they are here to help you in so many different ways. So I'm so glad you found one that you could connect with about the twins specifically and about being around you. Now, they were born in the safe zone, as you said, right?
Yes.
But was everything smooth sailing from there, or were there complications?
No, there were complications that I did not expect because they were early term, full term for twins, but my son needed some NICU time, and I was absolutely not prepared for that. And that was, I think it was really, really hard on both of us, but because I just gave birth and the shock of it, and it was multiple things. It was the pregnancy, I think, the stress that it's finally over. And then when we brought the kids home, finally, both of them, my dog had a very scary reaction to them, and she was hunting for them. And I did not expect that. So there was just like many things that that happened that ultimately led to postpartum anxiety, likely depression. It was not a fun time the first few months.
Oh, not at all. Now, as a dog trainer, that must have been devastating to see a reaction from your dog that you love and that you put all this work in preparing for, and then just the unpredictable happened, right? I know from our conversations before that that's not common to have this predatory reaction.
No.
So tell me what was going through your mind as this was unfolding.
Well, it happened really, really fast. So there was not much. It was just, it was like I knew what I was seeing. And at the same time, I just couldn't believe it. But it was seconds, right? Like from the moment when she just saw them and then she reacted, they were in the crib, they were safe, so nothing happened. It was more that even as a trainer, I did not yes, my dog has a high prey drive, and I've heard about it, but not really much. It's as you said, it's very rare. So people listening, I don't want anyone to think it might happen to them. I know many dogs with high prey drive who are going to be great around newborns, and they are just going to be relaxed or mildly confused, but nothing compared to what I saw. And it was really heartbreaking because I was excited for my dog to meet my kids, and I have a yellow Labrador Retriever, so it's just something that a very friendly dog will socialize.
Right, your family dog.
Well trained. Yeah, she loved kids. Yeah. She has met many children, not newborns. So this was not something that I expected, and I just kept crying and telling my husband I can't rehome her. Like I was just like, this is like it's like I don't know what to do because there is no way I can rehome Lola, but at the same time, like if she is hunting for my children, she cannot stay. So without like sharing what I did, because this is it was of course like a plan that I had to follow. But the first thing that I did, I sent her back to my dog walker, and I don't remember right now, but probably after like I needed like a few days, 2 or 3 days. Of course, while caring for the kids and recovering from a C-section. So I needed a plan. And once I knew what I want to do and I had the plan, she came back. And then from there, things were great, once we followed the plan. And as a trainer, I knew exactly what to do. Yeah. So it wasn't, and I knew the training that I have done with her. So it was great. I didn't trust her for the next 2-3 months because, seeing this is not something that you can recover from easily. And later, when I work with families who have been through a similar experience, they always tell me the same thing. It took them about 2 to 3 months to trust their dog again. And sometimes it takes longer. So that was definitely not something I expected. And right now I can talk about it, but it took me years to talk about it without crying.
I can imagine, because, I mean, in that moment, you're already so overwhelmed. You had one baby in the NICU. 2 babies now you're taking home. How long was your son, you said, how long was he in the NICU?
Oh, luckily it wasn't very long. It was
Oh,
5 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were you in the hospital then, or did you all come
Yes,
home?
we were rooming in. Yes.
Great.
Yeah, we all stayed in the hospital. Yes.
Oh.
Which was, it was great and not so
Yeah.
great, right? It's just.
Yes. You don't want it anyway. There's no
Yes,
good scenario, but it's nice to be able to all come home as a family.
Exactly. And it was, it's like NICU is the club you don't want to be a member of,
No.
even if it's great.
No.
And, we definitely met great NICU nurses, and the parents that we met there. It was a great community, but it's not that we wanted to be there.
No, not at all. Absolutely not. Yeah. So you have the stress of that, the stress of your C-section, the stress of the preeclampsia, and then all coming home, and all you want to do at that point is just take a breather or sit down on your couch and maybe snuggle up with the dog that has been your support for years now. And it all turns upside down, and that's not something you prepare for. Thank goodness you had that trusted dog walker that you could send to, just to have some time to recoup, to think, because you can't think on your feet when you're freshly postpartum. That's not part of our biology anymore at that point. So that's amazing. Now tell me about how that affected you and your relationship with your dog, because I know I had a dog when I was pregnant and with my first baby when I brought her home, and I wasn't prepared for how I would feel as a person, as a dog mom, how that would change for me. So did that change for you?
It did. Yeah. It did. And it wasn't even that, because I understood what happened as a trainer. I competed with my dog in scent detection. So I absolutely understood why she did this. She's an animal. She died this year, but she was an animal with instincts, right? So it wasn't that I was not something that I expected, but very much what animals do. So I didn't. I think the main there was some grief that we didn't get to have the postpartum weeks together, right? Like I don't have any pictures of my kids with Lola when they were very little, and the few ones that I have, I remember how stressed I was taking them, and you can see it, like how close to us she is, and like how tense we are holding her, especially me, not my husband less. But I think later, because she was my fur baby, and I used to do so much with her. Like we used to compete, and we used to go to classes together and train a lot and just do a lot of stuff together. I think the main feeling was guilt for me. It was, I did plan things right. So Lola had a dog walker that was taking her for 5 to 6 hours every day. She was going to the beach. She actually had a great time, and she was coming home tired. So that was, that was helpful because I wasn't really worried about her not having enough exercise. She was having plenty of exercise, but she was well trained, right? So I didn't really have to deal with her barking or being uncomfortable being separated, because of course I had to separate her initially because I was not, just for everyone's safety. So that part was fine, but I really felt a lot of guilt because I couldn't do the same things that I used to do with her. And then we got to a point when I felt better, and the kids were like 6 months old. And I remember that I had to make a decision. Am I going to go back to the nose work training? And a lot of that training was evenings and weekends, because we were competing. And I just made a decision. I was like, I have to choose myself, because if I now spend this time with her, I'm not going to have any time for myself. And it makes me emotional. And that was a really hard moment, because I was just like, I felt so guilty, because as much as I loved our time together, I was just so tired, and I never had time for anything. And I just needed that time for for myself or for my family. And I just didn't want to take it away from, from my time or the time with my family anymore. But it felt very selfish.
I get that. I think we all go through that in one way, shape, or form. So what did you do?
Well, at that time,
Yeah.
I just continued to be guilty
Yeah.
and to feel guilty.
Yeah.
I didn't, I had, because I didn't feel good, and
Yeah.
my OB actually, she prescribed me like medication because I was a mess. And then I started therapy, and so I was able, I had an outlet where I was able to talk about it. But to be honest, I don't really think I talked about it much, because there was just so like other things that were on my mind, more pressing things. So I think I started really processing it later when I started Dog Meets Baby, and I was in a different spot because I was, like my kids at that time were 4, and everything combined, the time, the therapy, the just seeing their relationship with Lola, and that she actually gained people in her life while she lost some things, but she also gained some things. I think I was finally able to accept that life is different. Life has changed for all of us. But Lola actually is not unhappy. She's, she loved searching for scents, but she also loved cleaning after my kids. She was, she was still really happy, and she loved going on walks with us, and she loved playing with my children, and we were doing like hiding things for her in the house, right? It wasn't the same, but it wasn't like I fully was able to get over that feeling. But for the most part, it was just accepting that things are different, like grace, just giving myself grace.
That's so beautifully said. I couldn't have said it better myself, because yes, life is different and we can accept it and be happy with it, but we can still be sad that it's not what we imagined or it's not what it was. So to have both of those is incredible. Now, just real quick before we wrap up with this conversation, I want to hear what brought you to start Dog Meets Baby.
I was already working on a book back then, and with a friend of mine, Michelle, and we were writing this book when my kids were in preschool and her daughter was napping. So it was, like sometimes things were not happening because her daughter was up, or my kids were sick, right? So it was very irregular. But I, like working with her, like I was able to, like I have it, like even if we have never published this book, I have it in writing. So I was able to like have a plan of what it would look like if, someone wanted a plan how to prepare their dog for a baby. So that was very helpful. And then it was the pandemic, and suddenly my kids were home. And I initially didn't work. And of course, I had to take care of my children and Lola, because her walks were canceled too.
Yes.
And I just realized, well, maybe that's the moment when I can start things on Instagram, because I really liked Instagram. So I just started Dog Meets Baby. And initially it was different. I was just posting about my children and Lola and things that we do, activities. And then at some point, it was a bigger account, Mom Brain Therapist, she recommended my account. It was July 4th. And I suddenly gained like a few thousand followers, and it's just snowballed from there. But that was the moment when I realized that people actually need more of the pre-baby help, or the, you know, like really like the pre-baby help, right? Like how to
Yep.
prepare your dog for your child rather than activities for your child and your dog. So I pivoted to the pre-baby content.
I love that story. It is such a perfect example of start small and follow the breadcrumbs, and you just don't know where things are going to take you. You started by writing a book, and here you are with this incredible platform, following that has learned and relies so much on what you're teaching and so much more. Thank you, Dominika, for sharing this story with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And I hope you'll come back next week so we can talk about all of those things that was in that book and that you share on your account.
Oh, I would love that. Thank you.
If Dominika's story resonated with you, please take a moment to share this episode with a fellow mom who needs to hear that she's not alone. And if you haven't already, take a second to follow the show, tap those 5 stars, and leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts. Every share, rating, and review helps this community grow, and I am so grateful to have you in it. Now, whether you're preparing your dog for a baby or preparing your family for a dog, the next episode is going to be a must listen, because no matter which way you're walking into that transition, it is emotional, it is messy, and it impacts your whole household. Dominika is coming back, and we're talking about what really helps when you're navigating life with kids and dogs beyond just sit, stay, and shake.